Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel as we take a look at the Aquarius New Moon happening on January 21st at 3:53 p.m. That's Eastern Time, so be sure and adjust for your location on the planet. This is our first new moon of 2023, and it is occurring at 1 degree 32 minutes of Aquarius with both the sun and the moon conjunct here. And do notice how both the sun and the moon just had a recent exact conjunction with Pluto. So this new moon is occurring after the intensity of that conjunction and now takes us into fresh territory and a new start that we are meant to connect with where we're going next, what the new vision is that's emerging, what is calling to you. And there's a few things that stand out to me in this chart. Now, first of all, we do have both Mercury direct now at 8 degrees of Capricorn. This is the degree point where Mercury stationed direct on January 19th. So Mercury is just standing still. That's our perception, moving very slowly here, getting ready to move forward again. Then we also have this Mars at 8 degrees of Gemini, now direct as well, after being retrograde for about 2.5 months. So now these are the two personal planets that are ready to move forward. And that's a shift you could be feeling with this new moon, where you're feeling like some things are ready to get moving. You're ready for the energy to pick up. And I feel like that's going to happen, especially a few days after this new moon. And let me show you why. So the new moon is when the sky is the darkest, when something is being seeded and planted, when we're receiving downloads, especially in Aquarius, which is connected to cosmic intelligence, to your cosmic support team, ideas that come from out of the blue, out of nowhere, new things to ponder, sit with, consider, and allow it to be something that you then apply to a future direction. Well, this energy is being seeded, and as I said, we have Mercury starting to pick up after the new moon. We're going to see this Mars finally move forward and gain some traction by the end of January, but both the sun and the moon are moving forward here, and they're going to make a beneficial sextile to this Jupiter at 4 degrees of Aries. And so what we have is that when both the sun and the moon interact with Jupiter in Aries, there's a fresh start that is amplified, that really gets going. And so that will happen with the sun about 3 days after this new moon, but with the moon itself, it will happen a few hours later after the exact new moon. So when each planet interacts with this Jupiter in Aries, that's when we really put more energy into what we're starting and beginning. And it feels like this is the time to be more considerate and aware of where you're heading, what you're moving towards, what matters to you right now that you want to develop for the long term. And Aquarius shows us that it's okay to do something differently, to break out of the mold, to not be traditional, or to assume you have to follow a known path. So this could open up an adventure. This could open up something that you're ready to try, that you're ready to take a risk on. This could even be a new chapter in your life that's coming together, and you feel like there is energy here that is going to finally be picking up. It's also important to note that this Jupiter in Aries will move through all 30 degrees of Aries until about the middle of May. And because it's moving so fast, it's only going to have 2 interactions with the sun. So the sun in Aquarius will sextile Jupiter. Then in Aries season, the sun will be conjunct Jupiter. And then Jupiter moves into Taurus, where it will stay for a year. So I feel like it's important to note the days when the sun is interacting with this Jupiter in Aries, because it's really only going to happen twice during this Jupiter in Aries cycle. So keep that in mind, especially if you have planets or points in the air signs or the fire signs for this new moon, because this is when you could feel like there is really energy for those ideas, thoughts, plans, projects, things being put into motion. And this would be an optimum time to make use of the sun interacting with that Jupiter in Aries. Now, also in this chart, we have Venus almost exactly conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. And so this is where Venus is approaching that exact conjunction that will happen after the new moon. And this is where Venus will have some type of reality check or decision to make, a commitment, something that she's seriously contemplating, and she's aware of everything involved with it. And that's part of Venus traveling through Aquarius, is that you're kind of assembling the details. There's perhaps multiple layers or multiple things you need to take into consideration and be aware of, how they all come together, how they form together. This could be a time too where you're making some serious financial considerations, where you're needing to cut back, which is what Saturn wants us to do. Saturn wants us to be responsible with our energy, to be responsible with what we are signing up for and considering the long-term implications. And so this feels like there is this conjunction here that is bringing our attention to matters of where we're going in the future, which is the energy frequency that Saturn in Aquarius holds. And then here comes Venus connected to what we are choosing financially, what's going on with our money and our values, our creativity, our confidence, our desire to be who we are. This is also about partnerships and love and collaborations, and also looking at where those commitments are, the maturity around them, how they are being set up perhaps for something to play out over a while. So there's always something that we're meant to slow down and sit with when any of the personal planets interacts with Saturn. And it's interesting because this seems to be the theme for not only Venus, but also, as I said, this Mercury that is now stationed direct and will gain momentum. And same with Mars that will gain momentum here. So there's something about this particular new moon that you could feel that you're in a gestation period, that there are things you are pondering and that are coming to light, or you're thinking about them. You need time and space to think about them. Then a few days after the new moon is when the energy really starts to pick up and ramp up as the sun interacts with Jupiter and as these planets, the personal planets, start to gain more energy going forward. So we also have, during this new moon, we're going to have this Uranus stationing direct at 14 degrees 56 minutes of Taurus. And this Uranus is an energy of where we're breaking out of something. We're setting ourselves free. We're understanding what we want that is new and different. And Uranus is back at this degree point where it won't return again. In fact, it won't return here for another 84 years or so. So this could be a time when you're making some big life changes. You've been sitting with things, reconsidering it, and now you're ready for that spark of excitement or something creative, something maybe that feels like, yeah, I want this, I'm ready for this. And it could even feel like things were delayed or pushed back in some way. And now that this Uranus will station direct, we're going to have all planets direct after January 22nd. So right after this new moon. Again, this reinforces the theme of sitting with your energy. And I'm seeing it as even you could feel that new energy is flooding in. New energy is coming in, moving down all 7 of your chakras and perhaps even grounding you into the earth. And this new energy, these new frequencies are coming in to show you what is possible going forward. But we need time to integrate that. We need time to just be in that energy and even to mentally contemplate it which is a strength here, especially with the 4 planets in Aquarius, which are an air sign. So this is a new moon where there is energy coming through, coming in. We are integrating it. We are sitting with it, understanding it more. And perhaps you're feeling a turnover, sort of like this energetic turnover in your life. You're feeling maybe some new possibilities, some new excitement, some new things rising up. I know I'm feeling that in my life. It's sort of like we feel like there's things opening up, and you could even feel like you're being set free. You're being free from things that weren't even a fit for you, things that weren't even authentic or real. And now you're like, yes, this is more me. And that's what the Aquarius energy brings up. It reveals more of who you really are energetically, helps you step into that, to really own that part of your energy and yourself, and to trust it, to trust that this is exactly what the world needs. This is what the universe needs right now, is each of us activating and amplifying more of our unique gifts. And then there is support for that. There is support for what is starting and growing. There's support for those new developments. And because this is the first new moon of 2023, it could feel like you're really understanding perhaps what you were clearing out over the past few years or even last year. You could feel like there's an opening in your energy field. And that's how I'm seeing this as well. It's sort of like when we have done so much work, right? So much deeper dives into our wounds or our vulnerabilities or into what we've been through, the healing work, the shadow work. Then we sit in this energy that can feel like a void, but it's because the space has opened up to receive and integrate new frequencies. And I know that I personally have felt like I've been in this happiness bubble for a few months now that has been really lovely. And it's because of these new energies coming in. And I think that this Aquarius new moon is going to kickstart something, kickstart it in a way that shows you that you're moving into what is true for you, what is real for you. Anything that was not a connection, that was not a frequency match, that was not meant for you, it's meant to go away. It's meant to be on its own path, on its own journey. And that's a beautiful thing. And now there's this sense of you can understand what's really for you that might even surprise you. And that could be part of what you're feeling. Like there could be an anticipatory energy here that just feels like you can sense something is coming together. Now, I also think that this would be considered a trine to Mars, both the sun and the moon. And that's because of how slowly Mars is moving. So yeah, it's a 7-degree orb. But Mars is moving slowly, so the sun will go ahead a few degrees, and there will be this trine, and that is going to then kick into gear for this Mars. And then this Mars is also interacting with Chiron and Jupiter and Aries, and I feel like this Mars is ready to move forward, take some things forward that he is choosing and understanding. This is the part of your chart that has slowed down. Wherever you've had this Mars retrograde, there's been a slowdown. There's been a need to sit and think and process. And now the energy starts to pick up, but it's new. There's a new energy coming in and coming forth about your own realizations, about how you've shifted and changed, about what's meant for you and what's true for you going forward now. So again, there's a lot of energy signatures here that are about this new, and also something emerging that you might not see right away. It's like you can feel it or sense it. And I'm even seeing that our third eyes are really tuned into something. That's also part of the strong Aquarius energy, is that the third eye chakra is really busting open. It's expanding even more, where you're going to be able to see more potentials and possibilities that you weren't tapped into before. And I feel too like this is something that could give you the motivation to move something forward or to understand where to go next. So overall, this new moon is encouraging for new starts and beginnings with all planets direct. All planets direct after this Uranus stations direct on January 22nd. And when we have all planets direct, it's easier to move things ahead. It's easier to really trust that what is coming together is supported by the universe and there's energy behind it that could even feel more effortless. So we will have about 3 months or so of all planets direct until we have our next Mercury retrograde in April. But until then, there's time now to really take action, move ahead, get going on things that felt like they were stalled or delayed. Now you could have a sense of, yeah, I'm going to go for it. There's also a risk-taking energy here. And that's because the Aries energy will just go for it and say, let's go, let's try. And then there's also the energy here of Aquarius that has a different idea, something new, something that you maybe haven't tried before. And that's part of the risk, is that, it could feel like, all right, this might seem a little bit wacky or off the walls, but I'm ready. So this is an Aquarius new moon here that is bringing up something that you are ready to move forward in your life, but take stock before taking action, and then know that after this new moon is exact and the energy moves forward, then there's really a pickup in the momentum and development of what this new moon is ready to give energy to. And one more thing to note is how this Mercury at 8 degrees of Capricorn, 50 minutes, is making a beautiful trine to this North Node in Taurus at 9 degrees. And the North Node always moves in retrograde, in reverse. So this Mercury is going to be in a trine with the North Node. And these are both earth signs that want stability, reality. The changes that are happening in your life, or the ideas or things that you're ready to do now, it could feel like it just connects. Like there are solutions, there are things coming through, coming up. This trine to the North Node can feel like the universe is saying yes. And so it's important to note where the North Node is in your chart. And then keep in mind, it's also working with the South Node in Scorpio at 9 degrees, which is the release and what you're releasing and letting go of there. That is also right on time. So wishing you a beautiful Aquarius new moon as 2023 gets started, gets going. And I hope that you feel some positive developments here unfolding as we move through this very first month of the year and the energy starts to pick up. Thank you so much for sharing this video. Thank you for liking, subscribing. Thanks for your comments. And I'll be back soon with another video for you.